Just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. All right. And apologies, I had to make some fun animations in PowerPoint, PowerPoint. So again, it's our Georgia chapter annual membership meeting today. A couple of things that we will be talking about is who are we? Who is our leadership? We're going to have a very important update from Sydney Dowse, our treasurer. We're going to talk a lot about what we did this year. We're going to take a minute to review our chapter awards. That is another item that we were unable to have in person. We did send out the newsletter following the cancellation of the conference to make those award announcements, but we wanted to make sure everybody had a chance to see that. We want to talk a little bit about what we're going to do next year, and we want to thank all of you for being here, for volunteering, and also our sponsors. So with that, who are we? I presented a little bit of information at our spring conference on our membership, but I think it's always a good touch point to check in and see who we are and what are we comprised of. And if we're true planners, all we care about is the data. So we have over 1,000 members. We actually have a little bit more membership than we did in the spring. 803 are general members. We have over 100 student members. We have faculty. We have planning board members, retired members, and just a handful of chapter-only members. About half of our membership is AICP certified, 31 candidates for AICP and 20 FAICP. So we have 26 board members out of that, which is a small percentage of the total. But, we always like to compare against our, normalize our data. So our current Georgia population is over 10 million. Looks like us in our organization is less than 0.009% of the whole. So we are a rare group, but a strong group, and we're happy that we are all together with our 1,000 members, and we would love to grow that. That is one of my missions as president. So talk a little bit about our board of directors. So we have a 26-member board of directors. Again, I'm Kristen Westcott. We have an executive committee and entire board. I just couldn't put everybody on one page, but generally our board meets either virtually or in person 4 times a year. So we have a big summer retreat and spent a whole day in Macon kind of planning out the year, planning out how we want to grow our organization, how we're going to engage all of you. A number of our board members are on the Zoom today. It's pretty hard in a large group to show everybody, but a couple of them may speak up later. So again, if you are unaware, we do have a number of directors across the state and also representing different interests. So we have geographic district board members, we have 2 AICP directors, we have 2 non-AICP directors, a planning official, and then we have representation from our emerging planners group. We have a higher education representative and the presidents or a designee from each of the student planning chapters at Georgia Tech and the University of Georgia College of Environment and Design. At this time, I would like to just note we have 2 new board members that have joined us per our elections, and one of those is Allison Stewart Harris, who is our president-elect. Allison, in January, will start her first year as president-elect. In 2026, she will become president for 2 years. President, as I have maybe mentioned before, you might have heard it, but stepping up to be this president role is a 4-year commitment. So it's just like going to college. We also have elected Laura Parker to serve in District 2. And also joining the board recently is Amy Martin. There was a vacancy in the District 8 region for a while, and Amy came on board later this fall through a nomination and election by the board. And we have just nominated and reelected her to serve the next term, as she was, the position was not on our ballot. So with that, we also say a fond goodbye, and hopefully not for too long, because we love to keep people engaged in our chapter. Whitney Shepard, she is just completing her 4-year stint as president-elect, president, and past president. Whitney, if you have met her, hopefully you have. She served for a number of years as a district director for District 9. She helped champion the mentor program 10 years ago. She's been involved in It Takes a Planner campaign. She's just done incredible things with our chapter. So thank you, Whitney. Mark Beechuk has served as a District 2 director out of Athens. Again, Mark has been involved with the board for many, many years. And this year, he also helped us out on the programs committee. He has helped out on the elections and nominations committee. And he was our board representative at a reception at the UGA program at the beginning of their semester. And Allison Garrett left us, I guess, about a year ago, and we've now filled that position. Just wanted to recognize her serving on the board as well. So thank you to all of the incoming board members, and thank you for all of the outgoing board members. We appreciate you. All right. I had mentioned, I guess, in an earlier newsletter that we wanted to recognize at fall conference people that we may have lost in our profession. You know, we're not a big group, and I care a lot about all of us. And there are 3 that come to mind, and there may be some people that you know that you've worked with this year that are no longer with us. And I'm sorry if I don't know them, but take a moment to think about them. The 3 that I will mention, the first is Sherry Davis. Sherry passed away earlier this year at the age of 67. She was a longtime planning director for the Southern Georgia Regional Commission. We'd also like to recognize and acknowledge Eric Graves, 55. He passed away this June. He worked in the Community Development Department and Engineering in the city of Alpharetta for 19 years. I had the privilege of first working with Eric back in the mid-2000s on a Livable Centers Initiative study. In that time, he was sort of taking the lead on looking at all of the large big box development that's in Alpharetta along their main mall route, and thinking into the future, what are we going to do with this as big boxes might go by the wayside? So he was kind of on the forefront of that. He also helped spearhead the idea of creating a connected trail network, which I think they've now dubbed the Alpha Loop. So he was quite influential, even though he had come out of the engineering side. He was a pretty darn good planner as well. He also worked, I think, on both iterations of the North Fulton Comprehensive Transportation Plan. And more recently, we have lost Aditi Subramanian. Aditi, age 27, unfortunately passed away at the beginning of December, I believe, while she was traveling. She was an urban designer working for Perkins and Will, and we had the opportunity to work with her here with the city of Sandy Springs. She was on our project team for one of our studies. So just take a moment and think about all of those who have contributed to our profession. Thank you. This is something that I would like to continue moving forward as we gather together to think about all of those who have influenced us, our mentors, our employees, our colleagues. All right. Next, we were going to talk a little bit about finances. Hopefully, Sydney has been able to join us. Sydney, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can. I'm going to mute myself, and I'm going to advance the slide.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Sydney Dow's GPA treasurer. Um, I'm just going to provide a quick budget summary, and then we'll go through our balance sheet and financial statement. Uh, this is this will be an odd budget update because for one, we did not have our fall conference, but we still did incur some expenses, down payments, deposits, and stuff like that. We got some of that back. And we had a pretty big institutional event at the end of the year that we haven't fully processed all the payments yet. But big picture, this is where we are. This is where we were as of December the 9th. Quickly, our sponsorships, we came pretty close to our goal. We were shooting for about 14,000, even though we budgeted for 17. We hit that number. Program services, that's conferences and everything. Um, you'll see the expenses from the spring conference. We did not have the fall conference, but still incurred a few costs with that. Member dues, thank you to all our members. We exceeded our goal about 41,000. So our revenue as of early this month came in at about 106. Expenditures, everything was pretty much on point with our contractors and all our fees and payments. Awards and recognitions fell where we would expect, and programs is low, but we also did not have the revenue from the fall conference, but we did have spring. We made our down payment for fall of next year, and also we had a large and successful APA event. The APA National Legislative Committee, I may have said that wrong, was in Atlanta. Whitney Shepard pretty much ran that whole event, but we had a reception with a good turnout, and some of the costs for that are still shaken out. So that impacts our expenditures also. I don't have the full numbers yet. Board-related expenses went a little higher due to travel to the APA conference, went a little higher than we thought. And I also left out in the revenue section the annual sponsorships and the registrations are a little off because we have a few conference sponsors from the fall that we still need to reach out to see if we're going to refund their conference sponsorship or maybe transfer it to the next fall conference. And we're still working through that. But either way, our costs are at 110. So we're showing a slight loss of about 4,000, but a lot of that is going to shake out as the year ends. And then another quick note, expect some changes. We're going to be a little bit more aggressive with our sponsorships and how we structure them next year and the way we structure the registration. And you'll see that as members as we go into next year. You can go to the next slide. So our balance sheet, this is our count. 94,000 in the bank, 20,000 in savings, 73 in checking. We kept the savings balance a little low because we were expecting to spend a lot more with the fall conference. That 8,000, those are some of the credit card payments, the APA event and other things. The bill has actually been paid since then, but that was what was out there to be paid for the end of the month. So that puts total equity at 102. Take that out. We have a total of 94,000 in the bank. You can put questions in the chat or email me directly, and I will talk to you as much as you want or as much as you want to hear about our budget. Thank you.
Thanks, Sydney. I hope this thing is showing up for everybody. It keeps popping off my screen. But before we leave sort of this business discussion, one thing I wanted to mention and encourage all of you to think about for 2025 is that, on an annual basis, we do have our elections. This year, we will have 12 members of the board up for re-election or nominations and election. That includes both vice presidents of chapter services and programs, the secretary, the treasurer, 2 directors for the non-AICP director positions, the planning official, and then the district directors for the odd number districts, so 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Our bylaws, at least thankfully, stagger our terms so that we are not doing a clean slate on every, other year. So we do have that continuing expertise from year to year. So do think about that. Thank you. All right. So this is kind of the fun stuff. What did we do this year? Quite a bit. And some things we wanted to showcase was we hosted a great spring conference at the Georgia International Convention Center back in March. I hope a lot of you had a chance to attend that. We had nearly 250 people attend, provided continuing maintenance credits, had over 16 sessions and 3 student sessions. Our programs committee chair is Kaitha Clark as the vice president of programs. We also reached out to all of you through every means that we have. Our main social media outlets are LinkedIn and Facebook. We also reach out via monthly newsletters. And we have our website, which if you have not spent any time there, has an incredible depth of information. It's almost like our brain of Georgia planning. So if you are not receiving our monthly newsletters, our Georgia Planner newsletter, please do send a message via the web to us and we can get you a link. I had recently received a notice that about 50 people had dropped off our list and you have to get re-registered, and things happen for any number of reasons. But the Chapter Services Committee is led by our Vice President, Mega Young. We had a very successful mentor program. I think a lot of you knew that we were going to have a great celebration at the fall conference, but hopefully we will reschedule that upcoming in 2025. But in 2024, had 15 mentees and 3 mentors, robust committee, and 6 sessions. So I had a chance to sit in with the mentors this year, and it was fantastic. Oh, sorry. The mentor committee is led by Molly Bogle. That was previously chaired by Caroline Evans. One of the most important things we do as a chapter is provide opportunities for people to learn and develop their careers and become AICP certified. And so the Professional Development Committee, which I think Christina Pastor would be happy to have you volunteer to help her out with that, because she's sometimes a committee of one, but she helped when we had to cancel the conference. She worked with some of our other board members, and we were able to migrate in-person AICP exam sessions to online. And she also helped organize 5 study groups. So they had about 20 participants in that. And in addition to CM activities that we host specifically, through our chapter, we do collaborate with the Community Planning Institute, which also celebrated a major milestone this year of 20 years. The Gaza Summer Conference, the Georgia Bike Walk Live Summit, as well as our district events. So as Sydney mentioned, one of the opportunities that actually came our way sort of mid-year was the opportunity to host the nationwide legislative summit. And so a number of representatives from around the country joined APA staff and Policy and Advocacy Committee Chair Whitney Shepard to talk strategy and learn how to demonstrate the importance of planning from at the state level and also at the local level. Our emerging planners continue to develop their strengths through socials, but also technical events. But we enjoyed meeting with them. We also were able to welcome our student planners at Georgia Tech and UGA in the fall. This is a tradition that was very important to me that I participated in when I was at Georgia Tech. With COVID, this event had been sort of suspended. And so this year we were able to collaborate and get this scheduled and had a fantastic turnout. So um, in September, even though we ended up in the old architecture building at Georgia Tech instead of the rooftop, but next year, rooftop. And in Athens, Mark Beechuk met with all the students incoming, and they enjoyed a lunch from Barbaritos. If you've eaten there, it's quite delicious. So the students are sort of our future, and if you saw, they're a good percentage of our membership. So thank you, students, and we hope that we can be a resource for you as mentors, as maybe hiring managers, and also bring you in the fold as you graduate. We also celebrated International Women's Day with a panel discussion back in the early part of the year. That was led by the committee Erin Thorson leads as the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee. We also traveled to explore alternative energy. Marilyn Hall leads our Climate Action Group, and they got to go on a fun field trip to Macon to look at electric bus manufacturing as well as visit a solar farm. And a side note here, we had sent out information prior to our in-person meeting that we were going to make an update to the bylaws to actually make the Climate Action Group a committee. So we put that on hold for when we can all be in person. So look for that next year. With that, my question to you is, how did you engage with Georgia planning in 2024? If we've missed you this past year, we do invite you to join us either on a committee, step up to run for the board, or help program an event. Really, I have found, and I will continue to preach this, that the more you put into something, the more you get out of it. I know people say, I don't have time, but you might have an hour here or there. And quite frankly, it's just so much more fulfilling if you get involved. All right. Adam Hazel led our awards committee this year again, and as in past years, we actually had a couple years of break, but we did collaborate with the North Carolina chapter this year so that we reviewed their proposals for their awards, and they reviewed ours. And each of them was, I think it was over like 25 submittals in a number of different categories. So it's quite a bit of work over the summer. And we did announce these earlier, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance to see them. And it's so important that we recognize great work in our field and also take time to go, hey, this was a great report. Let's go see what we can learn from them and apply in our own backyard. So the Distinguished Leadership in Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion went to the Macon Action Plan. So congratulations, Macon, with the Newtown Macon-Bibb County Urban Development Authority. The Outstanding Student Project of the Year was the Revive and Thrive, the Gwinnett County GICH Focus Area Report, completed by the UGA Master in Urban Planning Program. Congratulations, students. The Innovation in Planning Award this year went to DNA of a Corridor Vision, Buford Highway Redevelopment by HKS and the City of Brookhaven. I have some personal experience with Buford Highway, having worked on the Buford Highway Corridor Study with the Atlanta Regional Commission quite a few years ago. It's a very interesting and dynamic highway, state-owned, with a lot of different cities going through it, but it also is the core of many of the cities. So great work. Clarkston's Greenway feasibility study actually received 2 awards, and that's fairly rare. But they received the award for outstanding planning process as well as outstanding public involvement. Pretty sure we have some things to learn there as we all struggle to get people to pay attention to what we're trying to do in their communities. The outstanding planning document of the year goes to the 2050 Regional Transportation Plan by the Chattanooga-Hamilton County, North Georgia Metropolitan Planning Organization. And finally, outstanding plan implementation is Gwinnett County for their Gwinnett County Trails Master Plan. So again, I know we're all on a Zoom, but thank you to all of you who had submitted plans for awards. Thank you for all of you who may have sat in on the awards committee. We look forward to celebrating and awarding more great planning next year. All right. So what's happening in 2025? Well, we mentioned it a few times, and I know it sounds like a little bit of a broken record, but it is our premier event of the year. We missed you, and I know you missed us. And Kaitha and her programs community and the local host committee in Augusta did so much work to make it a great event. You know, we had 5 mobile workshops lined up, you know, our full 2 days of activities, the AIC exam prep. We were going to have the mentor reception and happy hour, and District 9 was going to host a lovely breakfast, and I was going to have a book club discussion with everybody. So with that said, we missed you, and we really have been thinking as a board, how do we make up for what we've lost? And so with that, I have to say we're very thankful to the 189 of you who completed our survey about what do we do next? How do we make up for what we've lost? And I guess, Keith, I know you're on the call, but I think it's pretty clear nobody wants to have an all-day conference online. So the survey results really show people are most interested in, if we were going to have anything virtual, that it's short, like this lunch today. And there is also some interest in hosting half-day events. And if we are going to host events, let's look at some of those really important CM credits that we need that are a little bit harder to get. And programs committee just met yesterday. Again, I am sure they would take additional members, but I think the survey results really give us some great jumping off points for 2025 and beyond, and maybe start to think a little bit even more outside of our customary spring and fall conferences, to do a little bit more innovation, to have some more events around our state, thinking about having kind of lunch and learns, you know, by district. One of the things that we did approve in our 2025 budget on Tuesday was to allow all of the district representatives to have some funds to actually host an event in their district. So we look forward to doing that. I guess since you probably have the obvious question, what are you going to do? And we're already midway through December, is that we will be setting up some sessions in the new year virtually, but also looking for some of these other opportunities. So the programs committee currently is reaching out to those who had been selected for the fall conference presentations to find out their interest and how we move forward there. So stay tuned, and we will let you know in the Georgia Planner when to sign up. With that said, we have selected Gainesville Civic Center to host our spring conference on Thursday, March 13th. So mark your calendars now about that. You're probably going, wow, that's pretty early. But we thought about that, and since we did miss our fall conference, we thought we could probably manage that, also with the expectation that some of our fall presenters will present in spring because they have their presentations all ready to go. So we look forward to being with all of you in Gainesville. I think it's been quite a few number of years since we have been there, so looking forward to that. Our fall conference 2025 will be Wednesday, October 8th through Friday, October 10th in Athens. I don't know if you're like me, but I have I always enjoyed when we gather in Athens. Makes me feel like I'm back in school again. Quite a great time. So um, please mark your calendars for those as well. With that, uh, I, our organization really doesn't exist without you helping us and you getting involved. And so, no matter what you have done this year to advance planning, whether it's even in your own organization, mentoring a young planner, recognizing great work around you, or proposing a panel discussion for one of our conferences, or participating in one of our committees, we appreciate you. We also appreciate our sponsors. So we have our annual sponsorship program. And with that, we wanted to make sure we gave an extra shout out to them, our 10 annual sponsors this year at the Premier Partner, Supporter, and Friend level. We also had 10 sponsors step up for our spring conference and 10 firms who also stepped up for our fall conference. And we had 4 or 5 sponsors for the Legislative Summit reception. So um, with that, I think I saw some questions, so I will have to find a way to get to those questions on the chat. But we look forward to seeing you in 2025. And let me see if I can see the chat. All right. I think there was I just want to note for everyone who may not have seen it, but I think these are in memoriam Dale Yeager and Richard Dagenhart. And there was a question about the spring conference. Will it just be one day? Yes, we are planning to just host a one-day spring conference. With the results from our survey, we will be scheduling some virtual short sessions, but we are also going to look for opportunities for either having in-person lunch events or a half-day event in different parts of the state. So really, quite frankly, with our spring conference in March and our fall conference in October, we have a lot of other months for which we can work with our committees to host events, either at the district level or on a specific topic, whether it be climate, equity, diversity, and inclusion, emerging planners, and the like. So any other questions, you could certainly also raise your hand and ask. Happy to take this time to answer any questions you have. If not, thank you so much for joining us today for our Georgia membership annual meeting. We hope you have a fantastic holiday. Oh, what up? I have what up? Sorry, before I conclude, what upcoming opportunities are there for student involvement? We love to have, so hopefully as a student, you're a part of your student planning chapter at your school. But we love to have students help us out at our conferences at the spring and fall. And we invite all students to come to any of our events. And I know that certainly something that we need to do more readily, but as we coordinate with our student planning chapters, make sure that we know when you would like to get together. So there's absolute opportunities to have, say, First Fridays events that used to happen in the past in the Atlanta area with Georgia Tech students and Georgia chapter members, just to have social time and conversations. Yes, it was also pointed out we would love to have our students present at our conferences and to submit sessions. So look out for that when we send out the conference submittals requests. I think we will need to get back to you on starting a student planning chapter. So any other questions or comments before we conclude? But otherwise, I would say have a happy holiday, whatever you celebrate, and look forward to seeing you in the new year. So happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen.
Take care.
Thanks, Kristen. Happy holidays, everyone.
Thank you and happy holidays. Thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome.